Hi, everybody. Oh,
Everybody.
why am I? Wow. Okay, I blew myself out here for a second. Okay, just making sure everything is like muted. Okay, I'm good. I think I hit the wrong button. Hello, everybody. Welcome. Thank you for coming today. Hi, Heather. Hi, Steve. It's nice to see y'all. This is um our virgin cast off of our new vehicle that we're going to drive, which is dealing with mental health and learning how to be able to deal with the smaller issues so that hopefully they don't turn into bigger issues.
Mm-hmm.
But if there are bigger issues that you are dealing with, then we want to be available to be able to point you in the right direction and maybe who to ask for help, how
Mm-hmm.
to ask for help, um, what kind of doctor you would need to go to.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, my co host is Isaac B. He's a professional counselor. So, this is what he does,
Yes.
and he knows what he's talking about. So, I was so very thankful when Spirit threw us together and said, ding, 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 there's your guy. That's who you've been waiting on. And so, that's what we were just talking about backstage. I was like, I was so happy the night I met you because it was like all the light bulbs went off. I was like,
Yeah.
yes, that
Yeah.
right girl. Um, so Isaac, go ahead and give a little synopsis of yourself
Okay.
and what you do and what you see for this
Okay.
going forward, and we'll kind of take it from there.
Okay. Hello, everybody. I am so glad to be here and to be back with Sherry again. I love her. Uh, I think that she's doing this work to help. That's really going to help people. Like she said, she asked if I would, if, well, it was just a thought in the beginning. And I was like, yeah, of course. And we've tossed us around for a long time. So
Almost a
we're
year
finally
now.
doing it. But I am a licensed professional counselor. I have a certification in alcohol and drug counseling. That's where I did most of my work. I won't be providing information as a counselor, but we will be talking about mental health issues. And like Sherry said, we can direct you to where where you need to go. But really, what we want to do is impress upon everybody that we have all the information on board that we need to solve our own issues. I think we just need support from people around us to move in that direction. And I think this is the perfect vehicle for it. This channel is very supportive. And I think this is going to be successful, not just for Sherry and myself, but for everybody who comes here. So
That's my goal. If we help just one person, it's going to be worth all the effort.
yes.
Um, if we help one person figure out what kind of doctor they need to find,
Hmm.
what kind of counselor do they need to go talk to for whatever their issue is, then it's worth it. I know when I've had this on my heart for a long time to do something like this,
Hmm.
and I didn't feel adequate to try to do it on my own because I'm not a professional counselor. Even though I have my bachelor's degree is with a behavioral science concentration, um, that's as far as I ever really went with it, and just never. Oh, thank you, Leah. Um, and that's just, going going forward. It's always been there. When I stumbled into this community and was like, oh my God, I can't believe these people exist. And just, kind of started getting feelers for what was going on. And then lo and behold, one night, uh, Sonia and EQ from the Soul Sisters had an open mic night, and they invited those in chat to come on. Isaac is a personal friend of theirs, so he was on the show with them. And I jumped in and came on just, to get a feel for doing it. And he and I met, and literally the bells and the fireworks went off. And Spirit was like, "There's your guy. You've been waiting. There he is. Now start working on it."
Mhm.
So we got to know each other and got to be friends. And then Christmas before last, I asked him and Minasa from Minasa Wellness to come on with me and do a holiday stressors
Mm.
show, how to deal with all the madness of the silly season as we descend into Christmas and all that craziness. And so uh, when we did that, it just really solidified for me.
Mhm.
Isaac was my guy.
Mhm.
And he and I did another stressor show for Christmas again this past Christmas season. And that's when shortly after Christmas, that's when I hit him up. Well, no, that was before Christmas. When we were talking about doing the stressor show, that's when I threw this at him and said, I've been thinking about doing da 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 da. Da. What do you think? And the response back was, absolutely, let's go for it.
Yes.
And I was,
Yes.
that like made my whole holiday season because I was like, somebody else is on board and is excited about this. And I mean, we've got a whole community full of empaths that
Yes.
don't know what to do with it or how to deal with all that emotion that floods in on them,
Right.
because we pick up on all of that.
Mhm.
Um, they're, psychics of different areas and different, that they just have different gifts and they do different things, but
Mhm.
they pick up on a lot of this too.
Right.
And so I'm hoping that going into the future, as we grow into this, that we'll be able to invite a guest or two on, on a show to come on and talk to them about how do they deal with
Mhm.
being an empath and picking up this kind of stuff,
Mhm.
or if they handle like a wellness type thing like Minasa does,
Mhm.
how do they do it? What do they do? How do they, what is their process? Um, so I think we just both have a real heart for helping others,
Yes. Mhm.
and I just love Isaac to death. I feel like he's my brother, you
Yes.
know. And it was a blessed day the day we met. I just,
Yes.
like I said, it clicked from the get go.
Mhm.
And and this will I'm going to turn this into a podcast as well. Um, it will be airing on the YouTube Music. So if you know anybody that has that, if they don't like to watch videos, if they just want to listen, they can listen to the podcast. I mean, they'll still have visual if they want to watch it too, but it'll be in a different area. And I know there's other ways, other platforms you can move into. I just don't know how to do that yet, but I'm
Ye
learning. So one
Yes.
step at a time. Let's get this going and then we're doing it.
Yes.
And so a big thank you to Isaac for willingly jumping into the fire
Mhm.
from the frying pan and saying, let's go,
Mhm.
So today we were gonna, once we did our little intro, we wanted to today discuss, we had talked about starting out with boundaries.
Yes.
And how to how to have healthy boundaries,
Mhm.
how to prevent others from overstepping your boundaries.
Mhm.
Um, there is a link in the description box that you can click on that will bring you to a web page from what is it from the
Therapist aid.
therapistaid.com, and there's worksheets, different topics, all kinds of stuff that you can go on there and you can find topics that interest you or find areas that you're having trouble with.
Mhm.
And there's worksheets for some or videos and
Mhm.
whatnot, just to kind of let you know, okay, can I deal with this on my own? And I'll
Mhm.
go talk to Isaac and Sherry once a
Mm.
month,
Mhm.
or do I need to call a doctor and set up an official appointment?
Mhm.
And so that's what we're hoping to do, is discuss things like today is going to be boundaries, and then give you some options of where to go if you feel like you need more help
Mhm.
than what we're allowed to do legally on YouTube.
Yes,
We
yes.
have to be very careful with how we approach certain topics and how we say things,
Mhm.
um, so that we don't get put in YouTube jail. So, so I guess I'll start with you, Isaac. Go ahead and go over
Mhm.
some of the tips and stuff for a healthy boundary. What is a healthy boundary?
Okay.
How do you know how to do that?
Okay. A boundary is simply setting limits with yourself, with others, personal boundaries, social boundaries, basically things that you will and will not do, or things that you will and will not put up with. Setting I guess, firm boundaries. I think most people most empaths will try to set a boundary, and they feel like they need to get permission or validation from the person they're setting the boundary with. They'll say things like, I'm trying to walk away from this relationship, but they won't leave me alone. And they can't hear that. It's almost like I need this person to allow me to leave. Those are the sort of things that empaths deal with. Or if empaths need to set a boundary with someone and say, No, you can't call me at this hour," they won't say it. They will sort of like hint around at it, if that makes sense. And they will, because empath can feel what it would feel like if I say this to a person. And we may think that we're hurting the person's feelings so that we don't say it. My point on that, the opposite side of that is, if you have to set a boundary and somebody is going to be hurt from it, you are choosing to be hurt. Does that make sense?
It
That
does to me.
you're
Yeah.
really saying, I'm not going to hurt you, but I'm going to hurt me. But if you're in, I think the way an empath has to look at it is, what are my intentions? My intentions is to set set a boundary, set a standard for myself that I won't be interrupted after a certain time in the evening. If that's your intention, now if you're saying, okay, I'm going to call Isaac and I'm going to set him up because I want to hurt his feelings, you're doing it for the wrong reason. But most empaths wouldn't do that. They're just like, we would rather take the pain than to think somebody else is taking the pain. Most of the time, people say, okay, I understand. Not a problem. And
Yeah.
that's basically what it is. A boundary is not a boundary if you're not willing to defend it. But what I would say to you, though, is that when you set a boundary. And say, for instance, if you decide that, okay, I'm going to tell my friend, don't call me after 9 because I have a lot going on and I'm winding down. And the friend continues to do it, and you're not able to say it the second time, keep practicing. Because if it's something that you've never done before, you're not going to be good at it.
Yeah.
You just bring yourself back. Because what we'll do is, have y'all ever done that? You've made up your mind that you're going to do something, and then you start to do it, and it doesn't work out quite the way you wanted it to work out. And you think to yourself, see, it doesn't work. And we go back to what we were always doing. No, that means that at some point it was working. Somebody says preach. You know one thing that's so funny because I say to myself, I call myself a preacher when I'm talking about stuff like this because I get
And
so
who better
involved
to
in
be
it.
preaching to?
I get so involved in it. Since it's this preach.
But that's what we want. That's what I wanted, was
Yeah,
somebody with your
but
experience and knowledge to be able to be able to talk about this. And
well, let me say this. This is not just because I know what I'm talking about. This is from experience. I had to practice it because
right,
I was the same way. I would, if I needed to confront somebody about something, it felt crazy all over my body. And I thought that I was afraid. I felt anxious. And then there was somebody I confronted one time. And somebody said, they said that you confronted them and they were afraid because they thought you were going to attack them or something. But it was anxiety. But
yeah,
when you start, whatever you practice, you become good at.
exactly,
When the more you practice it, the more you see all the ins and outs, and the more you can say, no, this is my intention, is just to communicate what is going on with me. We can communicate what's going on with us. A person does not have to agree with us, but you will feel 1,000 times better if you say it.
exactly. And I
If you
love what Rossi said in here. No is a complete sentence.
yes, yes. Somebody
Absolutely.
told me that for years, and some people are really good at it. No, I'm
We
not.
tend to want to say no, but
Yeah, or there's some people say, no, I'm not going to do that. Some of us have to say, and this is the way I had to start out. I had to start out by saying, I wish I could, but I'm not going to be able to. That was my
yeah,
no. And then
yeah,
after a while, I got to the point of where I was able to say, no, I can't do that.
yeah,
It's you're going to have to practice in the way that works for you.
exactly.
Because when an empath says no, they feel it feels mean. It feels like they're
Yes,
being mean. But I think it feels like they're being mean because they can feel what the person is feeling when they hear the no, the disappointment.
right.
And it's almost like we've got to be like sort of tapping in on both ends. No,
Exactly.
I'm not afraid to say this. I'm just feeling what they're feeling as I'm
Ex- Exactly. It's just like if you're a caregiver for someone.
yes.
There comes a point where you have to say, I need someone else to step in so I can have me time.
Hmm.
Because if you let your batteries run down,
Right.
then you're not able to take care of the person that you're caring for.
Hmm.
I learned that lesson the hard way with my mother.
Hmm.
I would push and push and push and push and push
Hmm.
until I was just flat out exhausted and made myself
Hmm.
sick
Hmm.
with exhaustion.
Hmm.
And it was my brother who was constantly telling me, you need to go to a movie or go visit friends or go to the park or go do
Hmm.
something, but
Right.
get out of the house, because if you're not taking care of mom, then you're doing laundry or you're washing dishes or you're
Right.
mopping the floor or
Hmm.
you don't stop. And I still have that problem, but not to the degree that I did at that time. I've
Mhm.
learned to back it off some,
Mhm.
and it was hard. Um,
Mhm.
I know when the shutdown hit, I was one of the lucky ones I didn't lose my job.
Right.
My boss sent me home with a computer and said, "Do what you do, just do it from home."
Mhm.
But because of the fact that it would be my computer would be up and running right there at the house, and I found myself, it would be 7, 8, 9 o'clock at night, and
Mhm.
I'd be having faculty emailing me,
Mhm.
and it would ding because I would forget to turn the stupid computer off,
Uh-huh.
and I would be going and answering and dealing with emails
Mhm.
hours after I was off duty, and it took a while for me to realize, "Okay,
Mhm.
wait a minute. They don't pay me past this time. I'm not doing this anymore." And it was very difficult to retrain faculty to not be emailing me at 9 o'clock at night
Mhm.
to ask me a question that could wait till the next morning when I
Exactly.
come in or when I go on duty. Um, so we've had a few more people pop in since we got started.
Mhm.
Rossi, Garnet, Leah, who else? I saw here.
Mhm.
Um, Susan, Laura, Hypnocity, Joyful Journey. If I missed you, I'm sorry. I'm trying to say hello to everybody. Um, I know, like I was telling Isaac before, um, I kept changing my major when I was in college.
Mhm.
And it got to the point where they literally said, "Mrs. Engel, you have too many credits. You have to graduate now. But you don't have enough credits in any one discipline to get a degree in that. So we're going to throw you to general studies and you can get a bachelor's in that."
Mhm.
And I was like, "Oh, okay." But I had so many psych and sociology classes that I got my bachelor's in general studies,
Mhm.
but with a concentration in behavioral sciences.
Mhm.
So this has always been something that I've wanted to deal with. And oh, awesome, Gerald. Tell Jeffrey hi. That's
Mhm.
his husband. They're watching together.
Mhm.
Um, so I mean, my late husband was a clinically depressed,
Mhm.
and when he would slip down into one of those depressed states, oh my God, it would take days sometimes to pull him out of that state. Um, like I said, when my son got out of the Navy, he battled PTSD really bad, and then discovered that he had adult ADHD, same as my brother has adult ADHD. And so it's been working with them and helping them learn how to deal with those issues and
Mhm.
the fact that they both have to take medication for it. And that's what helps.
Mhm.
Um, I'm probably ADHD myself. I've just never been tested
Mhm.
because I tend to want to do 10 things at once, all at the same time. I'll start something and then squirrel, I'll see something over here and I jump over there. And then 2 hours later, I come back to what I originally started. Like, oh,
Mhm.
damn, I didn't finish that.
Uh-huh.
And so, and that'll happen throughout the day. Um, y'all forgive me for my voice.
Mhm. Sherry, I'd like to go back to something that you were saying about caretaking and
Yes,
your brother telling you that you needed to take time out for yourself.
yes,
That is something that, how do I want to put this? And we always know as empaths what we need to be doing for ourselves, but we don't because we're so invested in helping others because helping others gives us satisfaction. But
right.
when we do it to the extent of harming ourselves, it can tear us down. I think what
Yes,
benefits an empath is not knowing, because we always know, but being willing to practice a new behavior. And if there's a behavior that we are doing that we can't seem to stop, you can ask for help. You can say, things like, okay, brother, when you notice that I'm getting really stressed out, remind me to take time out, or
Yeah.
tell me that I'm I'm you can say it the way you want to hear it. You say, well, maybe you need to go for a walk. Maybe you need to take some uh,
Yeah.
personal time. We can ask for that. We all know what we need to be doing. And we all know when we are allowing people to take advantage of us or manipulate us. But we have to practice ways to change that behavior, if that makes sense.
No, that makes excellent sense.
Everything
Yeah,
is practice.
that makes excellent sense because yeah, it's because even if you have someone there to kind of take over the caretaking so you can go take that break,
Hmm.
it's hard to walk out the door
Yeah.
or go somewhere because as you leave one room to go to the next, you
Mm-hmm.
see 5 things that need to be done, and you're like, "Oh, well, let me go do this first before I go. Oh, well, let me go do that first before I go."
Hmm.
And that was a hard part for me,
Yeah.
was to just turn my back on it
Hmm.
and walk away and say, "Okay, the dishes are not getting done. They're not going anywhere. They'll be there when I come back."
Hmm.
Doesn't mean I can't go
Hmm.
see a movie,
Hmm.
or go
Hmm.
hang in the park or whatever.
Hmm.
Um, and that was it took
Hmm.
my brother and my son both fussing at me a lot
Hmm. Hmm.
about, "Go take time.
Hmm.
Go take some time."
Hmm.
And, um, and I still tend to run myself ragged.
Well, think about it like this too.
But it's just my personality too, I think, and just to take care.
But
Yeah.
you know one thing too, Sherry, that I would say to you too, and I think we generalize a lot, but a lot of times we're working from our intuition.
Yeah.
I'm a person that I can work alone, and a lot of times I prefer to do things alone.
Yeah.
But I've already, like, if I'm building something, I've already built it in my head. All I have to do is follow the process. And if somebody comes along and says, "Oh, I can help you with that," I'm like, ugh. It's more work for me to explain how we're going to do
Yes.
this than it is for me to do it. And I think that's another way we get twisted
I
up as
I
empaths.
call that a control issue.
W But it's not. We're using our intuition, and we're
Yeah.
following the instructions that we've already been given, and if somebody else comes in, we have to slow down, but we can practice what we want other people to help us with. I think if we just learn that about ourselves, it's if we learn about ourselves more than we learn about other people, we will thrive. It's like, we can collect volumes of information on other people, nothing will change. But if we collect information on ourselves, we will
Yeah.
change. Because see, other people are telling us that we're controlling, that
Mm.
I want to help you, but you won't let me help. We never thought about it. We
Yeah.
need to tell ourselves our own story so that we won't listen to other people telling us our story, if that makes sense.
No, I understand completely.
Hmm.
Um, it, yeah, I mean, it's, I think in terms of bringing something in out of the car to bring in the house,
Uh-huh.
that's heavy, and I'm not supposed to lift heavy things because of
Hmm.
my back.
Hmm.
But a lot of times it's easier to just grab it because I'm already right there and bring it in,
Hmm.
even though I'm struggling and even though I'm hurting. And I
Hmm.
walk in the door and the first thing I hear is, "Why didn't you come get me? I would
Right.
have brought that in."
Uh-huh. And see, and I think too, Sharon,
Yeah,
I'll say this. The whole Before you got home, even when you bought it, your mind went, this is how I'm gonna get it in the house. And what you may have to do is interrupt yourself and say, okay, I can get it in, but they're gonna ask me not. They're gonna get frustrated with me because I'm still doing this. And that's a part of the self-care too.
Yeah, I like what Heather said, guilt's a powerful weapon.
Yeah.
And while we can lay guilt on others, boy, can we lay guilt on ourselves.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I know people who take medication for the mental issues they deal with just to keep them balanced.
Mm-hmm.
Much like I take medication just to be able to get out of bed in the morning because of my back
Mm-hmm.
and dealing with pain,
Mm-hmm.
which can also cause severe depression. So I
Uh-huh.
have to be careful. I see a doctor every 3 months for my back. And
Mm-hmm.
one of the, I think it's like the second question that you fill out every month when every 3 months when I go in is, have you been having periods of depression? Are you having periods of not being motivated to do anything, from an emotional point of view? And and I have to sit there and really think about, did I have any issues with that this these past 3 months?
Mm-hmm.
Because you can feel fine today and then tomorrow just it's you're down in the dumps. Um so and
Look,
as
look at Arlene. She said that's what the church teaches
the
you. I s-
yeah,
okay.
the church teaches guilt. Yes, it does, and they're very good at it.
I was looking at Steve too. I'm
And
everywhere, y'all.
yeah, and uh yeah, I mean,
The
I know a lot
EMDR.
of us will laugh and call them energy vampires. I mean, we all know people who tend to drain us of our energy. And it's like you may like the person, you may love the person, but if you're going to go spend time with them, you better like
Mm-hmm.
get yourself built up for it because they're going to suck you dry. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, they're going to yank all your emotions out.
Mm-hmm.
I have a girlfriend like that. I love her to death, but
Mm-hmm.
oh my god, it takes so much energy just to spend an hour with her.
Uh-huh.
She just ugh. and and it's her only way she knows of being,
Uh-huh.
you know. Um, and
Uh-huh.
uh, you try to help with that with people so that
Mm-hmm.
maybe hopefully um, it won't be as painful to them
Mm-hmm.
when you have to tell them no.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of times we don't want to say no because we don't want to hurt the other person's feelings as well
Mm-hmm.
or make them feel worse than they already feel
Mm-hmm.
because now they feel like, well, nobody wants to help me. I'm
Mm-hmm.
on my own.
Well, let me say this, Sherry. And this is just not for you because we've all been in that situation with somebody. What if we chose not to react? And of course, you say, I'm talking to empaths, and everybody's like, "What?" This is what I mean. If you've heard that person do that same thing 3, 4, 5, 50, 60, 70 times, you know what it's going to be. It's almost like we've been programmed that, okay, this is the part where I take a deep breath and look at the floor. You know, you don't have to do that. You can just say, this is what we do. I'm not going to take myself down, but
Yeah,
I am prepared to share honestly how I'm feeling in the moment. Now, that's something that we need to make sure that we say, you know, Isaac, I come and I listen to you, but we say this, you say the same thing all the time. And when I leave, I'm dragging. But I'm committing to just listening to you, and I know where I'm not going to be able to change anything, but I'll be here for you when you're ready to change. We're going to
yeah,
have to figure. We know these things. This isn't something that we don't know. This is
exactly.
something that
I
our
think innately we know how to deal with that.
we do.
It's just acknowledging it, accepting it, and then following through on it.
Yes,
And
exactly.
that's where it rolls right back down to those boundaries.
Yes.
Setting
Ye
those boundaries,
yes,
saying, "Okay,
yes.
here's the
Ex
limit. You don't step
Mhm,
over this line."
mhm.
Um, I'm gonna put up this first
Bye,
thingy
Heather.
here. Here is when you go to the link that I put in the description box. This is what you're gonna see. It's tips for healthy boundaries. That's just page one that I've got up there, but there are actually several pages that are there, and there's actually a worksheet as well that I don't have it on the computer, but I don't know if you can really see that. There we go. There's like a worksheet as well
Mm,
that you can go in, you can download it, you can
mhm,
print it, however you want to
mhm,
do it. Everybody, some people stick strictly to electronics, other people they want it on paper to write it down.
mhm,
Uh, just to kind of help you maybe get a better understanding
mm,
of what kind of boundary are you trying to set
mhm,
and why are you setting it?
mhm.
And that can make a big uh bye Heather, have a good evening. Thanks for coming, darling. Um that's where I think that we fail ourselves by not sticking to those boundaries
Mhm,
and saying, okay, look,
mhm,
we've had this discussion before. This is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm going to accept. Now, if you want me to keep coming and helping you with stuff, then you're going to have to accept and honor those boundaries that I've put up for myself as well as for you. And it's really hard to do that. Um,
mhm,
so that's why I think I felt so strongly about wanting to get this kind
mm,
of show started. Is
mhm,
I hear so many of the readers, probably the majority of the readers are all empaths as well.
mhm,
And, and like when we're backstage talking or, if we're just off in a chat somewhere and three or four of us are in there and we start yakking,
mhm,
um, I see and hear a lot of the same complaints that
mhm,
people have that it really comes back to setting up those boundaries so that they're not draining themselves
mhm,
to the point that they're not able to help someone else.
mhm,
It's very hard to open up to spirit and allow that to come in if you're so exhausted
mhm.
that you can't summon the energy up to do that.
Yes.
And as psychics and readers and intuitives,
Mhm,
from that concept, it's very important that we allow ourselves
mhm,
that time
mhm,
for us to be able to fill ourselves up so that we can then
mhm,
communicate, receive messages, do readings, um, talk with people who come to us for personal readings,
mhm,
um, to spend time with them
mhm,
and give them all of what
mhm,
is there that they need to
mhm,
get from us.
mhm,
And which again rolls back to the boundaries,
mhm.
of what we have and what we do. Um,
You know, I think that as empaths, we have a lot of good practices. I saw in the comments, and I can't remember who said it. He said that he was painting uh, like stressfully relief. We have a lot of things that we do to relieve stress, but my one thing that I think and I believe because I could see it in myself the reasons why empaths don't
Okay.
maintain firm boundaries, we keep letting people break the boundaries because empaths regenerate quickly. We're stronger than we think as far as regenerating ourselves, our personal energy. And so we think, okay, I can handle this. I can carry this. But if we keep doing it over and over, it wears us out. And if we're practicing things like affirmations, we're painting, we're meditating, we're we're not being structured in what we do because we're building ourselves up. We allow somebody else to pull us down or situations, and then we have to build ourselves up again. What I would suggest is because you are working toward self improvement, we can also help other people improve themselves by sharing with them honestly, openly, and directly without trying to harm them and without harming ourselves, if that makes sense.
No, it
We,
makes sense to me.
yeah,
So,
that's why we let people go. We let things go. And we're gonna let stuff go sometimes. But we should maintain firm boundaries, not rigid boundaries that we would scare people off, but firm boundaries so that
yeah,
we can take care of ourselves and help other people because mostly that's what we want to do, help other people. That's why we came.
exactly. Some really good conversations going in chat
Yeah.
here. I'm trying to
Hmm.
I got one ear on you and one eye on that. Trying to see if
Somebody
anybody
asked,
has anything,
they wrote it. They did
if
it.
you spot something you like, say the word.
Uh,
Um,
Sister Sheba asked, "What is EMDR?" And Steve
oh,
shared what it is: eye movement desensitization and reprocessing. It was actually what was her name? I'll think of her name. She was going for a walk and she noticed that she was feeling down, but she saw squirrels and she was like looking back and forth at them moving. And she had been thinking about a situation. By the time Shapiro, by the time she got to the office, she noticed that it wasn't so bad anymore. And
yeah,
basically, what they say is sometimes when we have like a traumatic event or something that we never resolved, it gets stuck. But in our REM sleep, we can process through it. To be honest with you, now I start thinking about the brain like a computer
yeah,
because it's like you're in a loop and you keep going through it.
right.
But the
And
EMDR,
there are those who say, especially if you go, do any past life regressions and whatnot,
uh-huh,
sometimes we do and repeat patterns from
yes,
another life that
yes,
just never got resolved, and so
uh-huh,
it comes right back up again,
yes,
and we're dealing with that same issue over and over and over
yes.
again,
I believe that.
and, that's something that we have to learn to
Mhm,
look out for so that
mhm.
we can determine if it's that or is it something new, you
Yes.
know? Um, a lot of issues can revolve around what kind of childhood did we have? Were we in a loving home or were we in a very stressful, traumatic home?
Mhm.
You know, um, and depending on what you grew up around, can have a lot to do with um, how you deal with situations now
Right.
as an adult.
Mhm,
So, it's real easy to fall into old patterns
mhm,
the way your mother did it or your grandmother did it or your daddy did it or whatever,
mhm.
um, rather than find what works best for you.
Right.
And
But, if we are in a healing process, and like you say, if it's something that's unresolved and we're repeating a pattern, say for instance, a parent, if we go to a job and we have a boss that has some of those same behaviors, we will fall back into those same
Yeah.
things. And
Oh, yeah.
we will fight with the boss instead of letting go of the past. And what we can do is like the EMDR, you go to a therapist, or they can do or past life regression or other things like letter writing, things like that. You can resolve that issue if you are willing to practice letting it go. Because the reason why we don't let, I believe the reason why I don't let go, wouldn't let go of things is I thought that I needed to be vindicated. I needed to be validated. The person needed to apologize, or somebody needed to run them out of tar and feather them and run them out of town. But
There's
none of
many
that's gonna
people I
happen.
would like to see that get done too, but
Right. None of that's gonna happen. So I
no.
practice letting go. And like I said earlier, I did most of my work in alcohol and drugs, and then which is the 12-step program is great. In the big book, I think it's page 67. I don't know what issue it is, what edition. They talk about the anger prayer, and the anger prayer is a way of letting go. It's you would say something like, "This is a sick man or woman. How can I be helpful to them?
Yeah.
God save me from my anger, for thy will be done." And I think that's like a way of letting it go. It doesn't sound like much, but you wouldn't believe it. It will move people out of your life or move you away from people. It doesn't harm anybody, but it helps you.
Right.
We have to be conscious of what is going on in our lives. Why am I so upset with this person who I just met 5 days ago and I really don't know them? Could it be something that I haven't dealt with yet? And if it's something you
Right.
haven't dealt with, just commit to yourself. If something comes up in the future, I commit to stopping and dealing with it, because a lot of times we don't live in the present because we're hoping something doesn't happen.
Right.
Mhm. But that's an empath thing. We're trying to fix it for everybody.
We can't fix everybody.
Mm-mm, mm-mm.
That's the number one rule is we can't
Mhm.
fix everybody. And most of the time we're lucky we just fix us, much
Yes,
less anybody else. Um,
yes.
so um oh, there was something I was gonna add and it just went right out my brain.
Oh,
Uh,
I remember the name of the person who discovered EMDR, Francine Shapiro. I knew it was Shapiro, but I couldn't remember her first name.
sorry y'all, my allergies are giving me fits.
Oh, okay. I get it.
Hence the growly voice because it's constant nasal drip and
Mhm.
makes my eyes tear up and I'll be doing something at work and I'll be talking to somebody and all of a sudden tears will start rolling down my face. My boss will trip out. Oh my God, are you okay? Is something wrong? I'm like, yeah, I just need a Kleenex. Yeah,
Yeah.
just pass me a tissue. um, but and so much of this, like what Mickey's saying, years of compounded traumas. Most of us are dealing with years of compounded traumas.
Mhm.
And again, depending on what kind of a family
Mhm.
situation you grew up in, can a lot of times be what can or cannot help you learn to deal with it.
Mhm.
Most of us in this community, we come into this because we want to help people. We feel very strongly that spirit is telling us, um, you're here to assist folks and help them
Mhm.
transcend, to ascend to the next, to the next level as well as yourself. And um, it's really hard to do that if you're still bogged down in the past.
Mhm.
and it's accepting and releasing.
Mhm.
So I know a lot of people, and I'm one of them, even though I don't do it as much as I should. Journaling is a great way to get a lot of that stuff out of your system,
Mhm.
and just being able to write it down,
Mhm.
and it's like a way of getting rid of it. Um,
Mhm.
there are ceremonies that a lot of psychics do for
Mhm.
full moon and new moon,
Mhm.
where they can take a lot of that stuff and burn it or bury it or
Right.
do whatever,
Right.
because it's a way of releasing.
Mhm.
Um, I was I can't find my paper. That's what I was kind of looking for. I'd written down
Yeah.
some notes the other
Mhm.
day, and now I don't know what I did with it. I'm
Mhm.
famous for that. It's what
It
happens when you rearrange your space and you're not
Yeah.
through putting it all
Yeah.
back together. I
Uh-huh.
can't find anything.
But yeah, a lot of the therapeutic techniques, especially in experiential therapy, come from the spiritual community.
Right.
I'll be doing stuff and I'm like, okay, this is what my people do. This is where they got this from. Because there's
Exactly.
a book, The Language of Letting Go by Melanie Beattie. It could be a guide for empaths. It could be a guide for empaths.
Yeah.
It really explains the behavior of an empath.
I want to write that down. I'm gonna put that in the. I'm gonna add that to the description,
Okay.
and then that way, if people want to go in and find the book, I'll even go check online and see if I can uh, see who has that book.
I know Amazon has it.
And okay, the language of letting go.
It's a daily meditation.
Okay,
Melanie Beattie, Melody Beattie.
okay, gotcha. And then I can add that so that y'all
Susan,
not doing like I'm doing and trying to grab a pen and write it real quick.
Susan says she loves it.
You can go look if I can find the link for it. I'll put that in there as well. That could be another great tool to use. There's some really good books out there.
Yeah.
Dr. Wayne Dyer
Mhm.
has some really good books on dealing with a lot of this kind of stuff
Mhm.
for ourselves,
Mhm.
and getting us to the point that we can come to terms with accepting what it is that's blocking us,
Yes.
in order for us to release it, let it go, and move forward.
Mhm.
Um, there are times certain triggers will happen that will make you a 2-year-old all over again,
Mhm. Mhm.
and you're having a hissy fit like you did it too because something's not going your way.
Mhm.
Um, we've been seeing that in the news for the last several months with a certain gentleman that for the first time ever is being held accountable, and he's having
Wow.
major hissy fits on air,
Yeah. Yeah.
because suddenly it's not he can't just determine how he wants the
Mhm.
resolution to be.
Mhm.
um
But you know one thing, and Susan says she loves that book. And Susan, I had that book about a year, probably a year and a half, maybe 2 years before I even opened it. And that probably meant that I needed it. But the way you're
that
talking
looks
about
like that.
that person that you're talking about, I would suggest to you that that's a personality disorder. I will insult you, but I depend on you to remain grounded and treat me with courtesy.
Right.
And those are the people that we run into that gives us the most problem.
Yeah.
Instead of us matching their energy and removing ourselves from the situation and saying, no, I'm not going to let you talk to me this way.
Right.
We try to smooth it over, and they think that they had a win.
Yeah.
But I think those are the things that we need to start realizing, because we know it in our head. You insult me, but I'm trying to smooth things over. We walk away and we come back and we do the same thing. And we need to start talking to ourselves in this way. What do I do in this situation?
Right. Right. And that was my brother serenading us as he walked by
What did he say?
to
What did he
take the
say?
dog out. I don't know. He will he will just make songs up in his head.
Uh-huh.
It's like it's one of his kind of defense mechanisms when he's trying to keep himself on track
Mm-hmm.
from the ADHD.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, I need to do ABC
Mm-hmm.
in a certain order to keep himself on track, and he'll make up some like little
Okay.
rhyming song and will
Oh,
sing it at the top of his lungs as he
uh,
walks around the
uh,
house. Yeah.
uh-huh.
And he's always done that ever since he was a child.
Okay.
Um, uh, and it's just funny. I'm so used to him doing it that I don't really notice it
Mm-hmm.
until it's like really quiet and I'm on air and people are talking and all of a sudden he'll walk through the room and he forgets
Mm-hmm.
that I'm on air and the microphone is hot, you know.
Yeah. I didn't hear it clearly. A lot of times these the microphones will blur the background noises.
Yeah, the only bad thing is the microphone that I have is a 24. It's a cylinder.
Mhm.
It's a surround sound.
Uh-huh.
It will pick up from any direction.
Okay.
So, I don't know if I can actually get it to
Mhm.
yeah, see, it's one of
Oh,
these.
okay, cool.
And, it's it it's the cast off when my son upgraded, I got the old microphone,
Mhm.
which is not old, but, um, but anyway, so I'm gonna add that link in there. I do have the link for the boundaries for the work, for the healthy tips, and there's links there for the worksheet.
Mhm.
Y'all can go in and, you could just save it to your computer and fill it out electronically online, or
Mhm.
you can print it out, write on it, scribble on it. Um, I know with journaling, it helps me to just get it out of my system and write it all down.
Mhm.
Um, Sometimes I rip the pages out and tear them up, throw them away for fear that somebody's going to read it.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
And but that's you have to do what works for
Yes.
you.
Yes.
And that's what's important. There are a lot of religions out there that are very good at piling on the guilt.
Mhm.
Um, but there are those religions and or not maybe religions, but those in a spiritual practice
Mhm.
that work very hard at trying to do this very thing, what we're doing,
Mhm.
of trying to meet the needs of people around them without any um, condemnation, I guess
Mhm.
would be a good way to put it. Um, and sometimes that works and sometimes it don't.
Mhm.
You just have to go with it.
Mhm.
Um, like Mickey's talking about last time spoke to her ex. It got nasty and she had to hang up. I get it. Because you can only control what you do and
Mhm.
your response. You can't
Mhm.
control what they're doing.
Mhm.
And if they're trying to push your buttons, especially if it's somebody that you've known very intimately in a close relationship,
Yeah.
they're gonna know what buttons to push
Yeah.
to have a fight,
Mhm.
just as well as they know
Mhm.
what buttons not to push to avoid a fight.
Right.
And so yeah, I mean it's uh my husband accused me that one time we were having an argument about something. He says, "You only said that because you know I'm going to get mad when you say it." And I'm like, "Yeah, you're right. That is why I said it, because I knew it would piss you off and you would have a fight with me because
Uh,
I was in a fighting mood and I was pissed about it." And it just, and it just where it came from with him. I mean, later on, he made a comment about, I don't know where that came from.
mhm.
I look back now and realize that was spirit
Yeah.
working through him. But back then at that time, that wasn't a part of our life.
Mm.
So,
Uh-huh.
we wouldn't have thought that that's what did it.
Mhm.
Um, but well, we've been here for a whole hour, and I want to thank you very much. I wanted to kind of cap it at an hour because I don't want people to get like all wound down.
Okay.
For now, we're doing this once a month. It'll be the fourth Sunday of the month.
Mhm.
But if depending on what kind of feedback we get and if our schedules allow, we might be able to maybe up it to twice a month,
Mhm.
and pick some set dates. Isaac has a very full life that he lives, same as me. Um, I spend 98% of my life online now, so which is great because it's hard for me to get around being disabled. I,
Mhm.
I don't go out and about like I used to, so it's all here online. Um, I thank y'all for coming to this very first episode.
Yes.
I do hope we were able to help some people. Like I said, I'm going to go back in and make sure all the links are in the description box
Yes.
so that y'all can follow up. And for our next venture, as of right now, we are scheduled to come back on February 25th. Um, and we have several options of what topic to cover. Isaac magically produced a list for me of here's some topics we can start with, and it's like a whole page. I was like, oh, thank God, because I didn't know where to start. It's like it's all up here, but it's all swirling around, and it's like
Uh-huh.
I don't know where to start with this. And then we both agreed start with boundaries. That's a good beginners,
Mhm.
breakthrough to go into this. Um, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do up a poll, and I'll post it in my community page of maybe like 3 or 4 different things that's on our list here. We'll discuss it afterwards and figure out which ones we want to put on the list. And I'll put those up on the poll, and then y'all can tell us what you want us to cover next time.
Yes.
And we can go with whichever one wins the coin toss, so to speak.
Yes.
And I think that's about it from my end. Is there anything you want to add, or
Just that
anything extra you want to put with it?
I thoroughly enjoyed this. This is a subject that the mental health is a subject that I enjoy talking about, and I enjoyed seeing all of the people in the chat who are practicing self-care. It's just wonderful. I think we this this would this is going to be great for us all. That's what I believe.
I believe so. When I started talking about this a couple of weeks ago,
Mhm.
and when I would be like on somebody else's channel or somebody was on my channel or something, I would just bring it up when they say, "What's coming up?" And I would start talking about this, and I would get kind of this silence, and then everybody would start smiling and say, "Oh, that's exactly what we need." And so I was like, "Okay, okay, I'm hearing it correctly, and we're going down the right path." So, and I have been thoroughly blessed because I got Isaac by my side helping me do this, and I don't think I would have been able to have pulled this off without him. And matter of fact, I know I wouldn't have been able to have pulled this off without him. So, thank y'all very much for coming, and like I said, I'm going to put a poll up on the community tab for y'all to kind of give us an idea of what you want us to say or cover next time. And then we'll kind of see from there by next time what's the response been like, and should we up it and meet twice a month instead of once a month if
Mhm.
that's possible, you know.
Yeah.
um so I'm good with either.
Yeah.
And I just didn't want to jump in, bombarding people with something and then nobody was interested, so to
Right.
speak.
Mm.
So I jump in with my tippy toes. The toes are okay. All right, let's put the foot in. Okay, we're good so far. Okay,
Yeah. Yeah.
let's go a little further. Um, so I've never been one to just dive right in. Some people are, but not me. And
Okay.
I dive in incrementally,
Mm.
a
Well,
little
I'm
bit at a
committed.
time.
I'm committed to this.
Wonderful. Myself. This is definitely something that's been on my heart for quite a while. And but let me see if there's any last minute um thoughts from anybody. And oh, Laurie, that's a good idea. Where's my notepad? I'm gonna write it down. Um, I can do a short. That's a really great idea. Um,
Yeah.
and then that way I can kind of let people know about it. Y'all spread the word.
Yes.
Let everybody know. Like I said, we'll be back on the 25th of February.
Mhm.
Um, unless we're just bombarded with so many requests that we do it earlier.
Okay. All right.
We'll have to wait and see what happens.
Yes. I'm with you. Whatever you decide, whatever they decide, I'm with you.
Okay, awesome, awesome, awesome. Thank you again, Isaac, for jumping on this whirling dervish with me. And
My pleasure.
as we traverse this very necessary topic,
Yes.
and thank all of you for being here, for communicating with us and inputting thoughts and whatnot. Um, in the future, we'll probably look into inviting guests, one or
Yeah.
two people at a time on to just discuss certain areas
Mhm.
that, maybe something they personally dealt with or
Mhm.
something that they're working on.
Yeah. Or if they
And
have a question, if they bring a question.
oh, yeah, um, we can certainly do question and answer periods,
Mhm.
that kind of thing. So, and we'll go forward from there. So,
Mhm.
thank y'all again. Have a wonderful week. Hopefully, you're not being rained out like we're getting ready to be rained on again, I believe.
Yes.
And I think I'd rather the rain than the cold.
Yes. Mhm.
I'll deal with rain any day of the week, but the cold I don't like.
Mhm.
So, y'all have a great week, and we will see you soon.
Yes.
Bye for now.
Bye.